So I was watching a live video from my friend Brian Stevens from the National Real Estate Post just a few minutes ago, and he was talking about an article which I've given the link to down below about how the FDIC has changed the rule allowing banks to waive appraisals on mortgage transactions up to $400,000, which is interesting. I can understand some things that I want to go through as far as why they may be doing that. They were actually already allowed, the FDIC members were allowed to waive appraisals on transactions up to $250,000. So some of you may have found over the years when you've gone to the bank, to your bank for some kind of financing, sometimes they've waived, just basically said, we don't need an appraisal on this, and not understood why. They were allowed to waive them up to $250,000 before. Now, as part of the fix for the problems from the credit crisis from going on 12 years now, the CFPB has to approve any attempt by the FDIC to increase that limit. And it looks like they have recommended increasing it now to $400,000, which, if you think about it, in the Bay Area, maybe that's not that much money, because in the town where I live, average purchase price is about $1.5 million. I don't have very many mortgages that we do under $400,000 here in the Bay Area, because people have to finance that much to get into their homes. Great. So the CFPB went along with it, and they were able to do it. While I was researching this, trying to find some other information, maybe from some other sources explaining why, I came across another nugget that just last month, the NCUA, which is the entity that governs credit unions, raised their threshold where their members were allowed to waive appraisals on commercial mortgages from $250,000 up to $1 million. So if you're getting a commercial real estate loan from a credit union, they can actually now, starting in October, waive the appraisal up to $1 million, which just seems crazy to me. Part of what has happened is, because of the additional restrictions they're putting on appraisers and appraisals, and the fact that a lot of them didn't want to deal with it and just got out of the business and decided to do something else with their time, it's gotten more difficult to get appraisals done. It's gotten more expensive to get appraisals done. I was actually having lunch with the number 2 or number 3 guy at the wholesale division of one of the largest mortgage banks a few years back, and he was complaining to me that in some states he was having to pay up to $2,000 for an appraisal, and it was taking as much as 8 to 12 weeks to get those appraisals back, because they just didn't have enough appraisers to meet the demand, and the ones that were left were just jacking up the prices. I mean, what are you going to do? If you have more work than you can handle, what most people are going to do is they're going to raise the prices until the workload becomes manageable, and that's what they were doing. So I think that these movements by the FDIC and by the NCUA have to do with trying to find ways around just the issues that in the post-Dodd-Frank world, it's gotten a lot more difficult to get appraisals done, to get people that can service the accounts that we need done, and it's become a huge headache, and it really has. If you've gotten a mortgage anytime in, say, the past 5 years, I'm sure you've noticed that the process on the appraisal is a lot worse than what you remember from, say, 10 or 15 years ago. Say 12 or 15 years ago. 10 years ago was already getting pretty bad. I did a video a week or so ago about how we're getting more and more appraisal waivers on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loans as well. That has to do with a different system, where they have systems where they're allowed to waive the property inspection, because basically they already have enough information on the property to where they can do their own collateral evaluation. And in many cases, they even have digitized appraisals from previous transactions done on your home to where they already know what it looks like on the inside, what kind of shape it's in, and they have information house by house in your neighborhood that gives them the statistical numbers to know what they could sell it for if they had to take it away from you, which obviously that's if you don't make your payments. So we even, as mortgage brokers, we actually have tools where we can go in and put your address in and tell in advance, before we even apply for a loan for you, if there's a likelihood that you're going to get those property inspection waivers, which is wonderful. It's a great tool for us. And part of why they've come up with this increased tendency to offer these inspection waivers is also dealing with the same issues on the difficulty of getting quality work out of the appraisers, and the fact that appraisers have become much more difficult to work with. When you get a bad appraisal, it is very hard to get mistakes corrected. I had one appraisal where they just disagreed with the room count that was listed in the county records on the house. Even though the room was there, they said, oh no, that bedroom doesn't count. So the city and county of San Francisco said it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They said, no, one of the bedrooms and one of the bathrooms doesn't count. So they appraised it as a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Even though the 3rd bedroom and bathroom were there, they just said it doesn't work. And it was common construction for the area, everything else. Now, when this initiative first came up, I had a meeting at the Digital Mortgage Conference where an executive from Fannie Mae came out, and they were talking about the stuff that they're doing to make things better as far as giving us day one certainty on your income, on your assets, and other things to make the entire process of selling a loan to them easier. And what she said is, I already have enough information on 20 million houses here in the United States to where I don't need an appraisal on those houses to do a transaction. And that's been 2.5, 3 years. So they've got more information now than they did back then. Anyway, it may not mean anything to you. If you've had difficulty getting appraisals done in the past, things might be better for you in the future. If you've ever had a friend complain to you about getting their appraisal done, share this video with them. Tag them in it. Or make a comment or tell them to look me up, follow me, because there's some interesting information that's out there. And what I try to do is just find something that I can come to you with every day, with something that's either interesting or has to do with finance or has to do with real estate or any number of things. So likewise, if you have any questions, message me. If you're in California, I can help you. If you're not in California, I can help you find someone who can take care of your questions and give you the service that you need. And look forward to talking to you guys in the future. Thanks. Have a great night.